Barb Wade is a seriously smart gal. She graduated summa cum laude from Tufts, did postgrad at Oxford, and does lightning fast math calculations in her head. No kidding, no joke. But she's also one of the most real, lovely, and generous people that I know. In fact, one thing I never knew about her until just recently was that she went to LA after college and became an actress on like real TV shows. And then she began running a division of DreamWorks under the Mr. Steven Spielberg. But like most of us called to teach personal growth, it wasn't enough for her. So she did a really hard thing and she transitioned to teaching and helping and coaching. Now, that was all decades ago, and she hasn't looked back, and her goals are to help every client reach a state of radical self-love and self-advocacy, which you know I am a huge fan of. So this means boundaries and vulnerability and making big, scary leaps and lots of little ones and committing to become happy no matter what, especially through small, granular actions. She is the one who can help you with this. And she's also here to help us explore today how to master our lack thinking and old beliefs that get in the way of our own inner super selves. So you're going to find her at barbwade.com. And now let's just jump into our interview. Hi, I'm Summer McStravick with Flowdreaming.com. And welcome to this series, Scarcity Thinking Sucks. So do limiting beliefs. So let's dissolve your limited thinking, dump those scarcity thoughts, own your power, and get you back on your feet, reaching for the stars. Over the course of these episodes, you'll hear from some really brilliant minds about ways they pinpoint and blow up limiting beliefs in their specific areas of expertise. So come with me on a journey into your mind and heart, and let's see what we can find in these very enlightening conversations. Hi, Barb. How are you?
Hi. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to be spending time with you.
Me too.
Good.
And, when I was putting this together, I thought, I'm going to call old friends and new friends and get everybody's perspective. Where have you been? What have you been doing over this whole crazy time? And especially now that we're all coming out of it, well, not all of us. I got to say, most of the world is still in the thick of things. But here in the United States, we're having, let's say, a reprieve. We don't know where things will go, but it's a reprieve. And we're
Right.
coming out and we're feeling like I'm bogged down with all these thoughts in my head and all these challenges that I've had and anxiety and limitations and scarcity. And I knew you'd be able to speak into this. So,
That's
and
because
what,
you and I have been chatting about limiting
yeah,
beliefs for as long as we've known each other. Like you know what I mean? Like you
it's
and
our
I are both,
jam.
it is. It's our jam. Like the obstacles we create for ourselves. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about it.
Great. Okay. So, one thing that I'm going to start with this because you work with a lot of high achieving people,
Right.
and they know from your introduction that I just gave them, you're a high achieving person yourself.
Yes.
And I have noticed this year that high achievers in particular got really kicked in the teeth because we had to learn how to chill out,
Right.
settle down, take it down a notch, and not freak out as we
Right.
were doing it.
Right.
So, what have you noticed in the realm of limitations and scarcity and all your high achievers? What have you seen?
Well, those of us who are high achievers are just people who don't typically like to sit still. We're pretty driven.
Yeah.
We're
Can't say
people
we're more
who,
intelligent or anything than
no, it's
anybody else. We just do
really,
things all the
we
time.
just,
Yeah.
maybe we're more comfortable in action taking than
Yes.
sometimes in slowing down and feeling our feelings. So it's not
Mhm.
better or worse to be like a action taker type, high achiever type of person.
Yeah.
But what comes with it often, obviously, is self-worth and self-definition being overly rooted in the external, right? So, I mean, that
Mhm.
was how my early life was. The reason I do the work I do is so much of my worth and my value was completely attached to what I was achieving. And not only that, what other people thought about what I was achieving. So as long
Yeah.
as I was impressing people, I felt safe. As long as I, was doing cool, impressive things, I felt I'd be included. I wouldn't be excluded. I'd be part of the popular group. I mean, it's just, you don't think this consciously as
Yeah.
an adult. But in doing the deep work I've done, I realized that a lot of my achievement was driven by wanting to be liked approved of and fit in.
Yeah.
And so in the last year, to take it to present day, like you've mentioned, a lot of my clients, because I do a lot of work on self love and self advocacy and
Yeah.
forging an authentic path as a high achiever. So I want you to be a high achiever. That's awesome. Like, don't want you to slow down being an achiever, but we want to be sure you're achieving the right things and the things that are the most authentic to you and are rooted
Mhm.
in truth and self love, right? Well, even inside of that construct, a lot of people have been very anxious in ways that external obstacles have actually come up. You know what I'm saying? Because usually our obstacles are up here, right? Like usually
Mhm.
doubt or it's fear or it's being afraid to speak our truth or all this inner stuff. This was the first time in a long time where events got canceled for some of my clients. Their
Yeah.
businesses took a hit if they were in a public oriented business.
Yeah.
I have a lot of business owners, I have a lot of executives. Some of the executives were trying to manage working from home. I mean, it was an interesting time where I don't know, the usual comfort structure was really turned upside down. And so it
Yes.
became an opportunity for trust. Like if there was any muscle that I worked on with clients this year and that I worked on with my own coach, because I'm going to be honest,
Yeah.
it was trust. It was trust. It was, wow, how often I think it's all up to me because I get that illusion sometimes because I am a manifester of results like you are. And what an opportunity to stop thinking it's all up to me and to remember to go to trust and grace,
Yeah.
you know?
Because this year, I mean, of all years, those of us who are controllers by nature, and I will say I am one. That's how I got into flow dreaming because it was my antidote.
Right.
But we recognize that more than ever, things were not always in our hands
Mm,
because they were being told to us by the outside world and the circumstances around us and being safe and protecting other people. And so we had to suddenly figure out, I guess you could say almost new personalities. And I think it was very, very challenging for some of us. And I think people don't ever consider that a limitation could be the fact that you have to let go. Like you're being unable to let go is in itself a limitation,
mhm,
which we all got faced with. I mean, and everybody, not just high achievers, but to some degree or another this year.
mhm,
Do you see what
mhm.
I'm saying?
Yeah, I know, because the ruminating is what seemed to bubble up for people. A lot of perseverating and ruminating and
Mhm.
plotting and planning. And that's really a futile excuse, to not be present because what is right now. What is what is. And at least with
Right.
myself, I know when I ruminate and I think and I plot and I chew and I stress and I repeat, it's an attempt to control. It's this
Yeah.
this illusion of I'm controlling things and I'm going to be okay and I'm going to be safe. And a lot of the time,
Yeah.
I had to catch myself in this negative future fantasy and the churning, or catch a
Hmm.
client and help and say, okay, let me bring us down to today. Even in my own head, let me bring me down to today. It's a Monday or it's a Thursday or what's the
Yeah.
date or what are the immediate things I can look to know I'm safe, I'm okay. What's inside of my control today versus the stuff that I'm ruminating about that isn't today and it's not in my control anyway. What's the
Right.
indicated action I can take? And
Hmm.
sometimes the indicated action was just being with my little girl and pulling upon like that healthy adult that would say, "Kiddo, I know you're scared. I
Yeah.
know you're so, thrown, and I'm with you. I'm with you, babe. I'm with you. We're just gonna take a walk, or we're just gonna, pour a sparkling water and sit on the porch, or we're just, you're safe, you're safe." It's amazing how the slowing down was probably my least familiar practice that I've had no choice but to strengthen in the
I
past year.
I fully, fully agree. Slowing down for me was like, wait, no, I don't want to do this. Hold on. Wait, the whole world is doing this. Oh my gosh. Now I'm doing it too. Now what will happen? You
Mhm.
mentioned your inner little girl, and I got this funny image of, how kids are in the car and they're like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? I
Yeah,
think as adults, we've all been asking the question, are we there yet? Are we there yet? When will we get there? When is this over?
yeah,
It's funny. The same thing comes up. Um,
yeah.
I think a lot of people right now are I don't want to, I'm trying to find the right word for it. It is scared, but it's also eager. It's a funny, scared, eager place. They're coming from often a place of hugely increased scarcity thoughts over the year. Maybe, you lost your job or something happened. Will I be okay? But then they're also feeling eager, like I want to take everything back into my life again. Have you seen
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
people? I
you know
mean,
what I
this
wanna
weird balance of crazy scarcity and hunger. I guess when
yeah,
you don't have enough, you get hungry, right? That makes sense. But
what I
yeah.
wanna add to what you're saying is there's this there's this hunger around, "I'm not gonna put up with any shit I don't want anymore." So that's what I'm noticing. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's the
Mhm.
eagerness, but I'm finding among all my clients and really in my own life, people are coming
Mhm.
back after something this dramatic and going, I don't even want to be in this career anymore, or I
Yeah.
am not going to stay in this relationship anymore, or I've
Yep.
been, kowtowing to a boss or someone in my life that where I haven't been speaking my truth, or, it's there's that famous line you see a million times in movies, which is, I'm just getting too old for this shit. Like it's in a million movies. I'm getting too
Yeah,
old for
yeah.
this shit. I
Yeah.
feel like, my clients as well as myself are really going, oh my God, what's it all for? Like, what's it all
Mhm.
worth? Like, I'm eager to come back, but I'm eager to come back with new boundaries, or I'm eager to come back with fresh eyes, or I'm eager to start something else. And I'm not going to go back to going into the office 5 days a week. Like, that's one really obvious example of, oh my God, I realized I can work from home and I have all this freedom and all this flexibility. I'm not going back in. And if
Yeah.
they want me to, then I'm going to find something else. Like that's just one example with a client I spoke to yesterday. But the idea of I'm going to do things my way because, like,
Yeah.
people lost family members, people lost loved ones. Like,
I know.
it's kind of a wake up call in that way, you know?
Yeah, it's also, kind of, interesting, I think, that the whole world was brought into this kind of self-reflection unintentionally. Everybody was given or is being given an opportunity. I mean, to talk about, yes, I'm looking on the bright side of things here, but everybody's been being given this opportunity to look at their lives full of stress and constant activities and overdoing
Mhm,
things.
mhm.
And through the enforced quiet, it's almost a cosmic thing, don't you think? I mean,
Yeah, it's like our
it's pretty
nervous
interesting.
systems, our nervous
Yeah,
systems have had to settle.
collectively
Like it's,
as a
yeah,
whole humanity.
there's, yes, yes. Like
Hmm.
there's a physical piece to all of this, an energetic, an energy, a life force energy
Yeah,
shift that came with stopping the frenzy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when people are making these changes and coming back out feeling like I'm not going to go back into the office like I used to, or hell no, I'm not picking up all the kids after school like I used to, and drop, I'm
Yeah.
making changes now based because I've had this experience of space in my life and I finally adjusted to it and I decided that I like it.
Yeah.
What comes up from there? Like what are the thoughts that and the feelings that you see people are experiencing right now as they're trying to make this new life? I mean, talk about busting through limiting beliefs, right? A lot of them have been just shaken to the ground from the
Right.
year anyway. But
Right.
as we go forward, it always seems like more pop up whenever we want to go in a new direction. Like, oh, here comes one I hadn't had before, but now I feel it. Now I see it. What do you
Right.
what do you see in that sense?
Well, I'm seeing a couple things. First is what you've already mentioned, which is the shoulds and expectations versus what do I
Mhm.
really want. So that's we've already kind of touched on that, but that first awareness of I used to live from these different shoulds and expectations that I even placed on myself. Like I thought those were things I wanted because I didn't realize I had this, deep, shoulds and expectations orientation to my life or to the world. And now I'm starting to dance between what's a real truth for me and what's a learned truth or what's a societal truth I've bought into. So there's that thing first. But then when they're getting to this place of I totally want to do things differently, What I see is a lot of initial enthusiasm, and then I see
Mhm.
people getting a little overwhelmed. What do I do, and how do I do it? Like, how do I make that all? Like, I know what I want and don't want. I don't necessarily see how to get from here to there. Like, I have my magic wand. If I had a magic wand, I'd have a different job. I would never go back to this freaking job. I would hire some help with regards to my kids. I'd start dating again, like whatever the things are. But then there tends to be a little bit of a paralysis around, oh, but I got to execute that. Oh,
Yeah.
I got to make all that happen. And
Mhm.
so that's where these moments of, looking at a 300-foot toss instead of like the next 3-foot toss,
Yeah.
can get people to feel a little paralyzed. So I see the eagerness, then I see a little bit of the paralysis,
Right.
um, and it's just an unfamiliarity with how do we take each next indicated action from love, from trust, from curiosity, and then the next indicated action, and then the next indicated action, and so that's coming up for people a lot. The how do I now I'm starting to know what I really want and don't want. God damn it. I'm not going to go back
But
to that life. But then, how do I execute this? Like, how do I implement this?
right.
How will I
And
make enough money? Or how will if I start my own thing? Or if I,
mhm.
so there's the excitement, but a little bit of the trepidation on the manifesting, I guess. Yeah.
I think we forget that, the first time we got ourselves someplace in life, we felt that way. We just kind of fumbled our way along. I mean, many of us started careers just fumbling our way along. We took a job because it was a job. 10 years later, we're like, "Why am I still here?" But now I know it.
Right.
And so what you're saying is,
Yeah.
now that we're consciously really aware creating our next phase, we want to have a roadmap. We want to know it already. We want to already be the expert in it, forgetting that there is always that little part where you kind of stumble through and you try things out and you see what works. And that's how you end up building things. And that goes right back to the trust that you were talking about. What
Right.
about
Right.
people who don't have trust, whose trust are shattered, broken? I mean, this is one of my favorite topics, trust.
Right. Right.
How do you like that? Because to me, that is scarcity thinking. You don't have
Yep.
trust. That's
Right.
something you're empty on. Go to the gas station, fill up your tank on trust. But
So,
I can't. It's been broken. I've
yeah.
never had it. No one's ever come through for me.
Right.
How do
Well,
you start that process?
I will share what I use or what works for me, which
Okay.
is that a lot of people who are lacking in trust,
Hmm.
it's not effective to do reframing exercises. I've not found it. They're just, yes, I do trust. This is bullshit. I'll write it down, but it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. No, I
I'll
know.
put an affirmation on the mirror. I trust and then and they don't actually, like, it's excuse me, it's not as effective to do some of the very popular and valid reframing types of exercises you do in coaching with someone where
Hmm.
that chasm is really broken.
Yeah.
Because the inner critic will just be there saying, "This is a bullshit exercise. You're not gonna make me trust in something that's gonna put me in an unsafe position." The fear of
Right.
trust is I'll be unsafe. If I trust something bad will happen, I'll be unsafe. So what I've
Yes.
been doing with people specifically in that situation is I've been having them get quiet, and I've been having them first, light a candle, open the journal, and write a letter to God. Write a letter to God, spirit, the divine, source, and all the stuff. I don't believe in you. I don't think you're even there. I completely don't trust. I feel completely screwed over. I'm afraid this is
Hmm.
going to happen. I'm afraid that is going to happen. And I tell them to write what you yearn for, what you wish for, what you believe, what you don't believe, to ask for help, even though part of you is going to be kind of rolling your eyes. Okay, fine. Ugh. And they have to write,
Yeah.
love Barb or whatever their name is at the end, right? And then
Yes.
I'll have them turn the page and we'll get quiet. And I do just a little process where I try to call up the voice of deep inner wisdom. And they can consider that God. They can consider that, you know, their inner wise woman or wise man. They consider that their higher self. It could be their guides or their guidance. It could be, whatever they want to conceive it as. And it doesn't have to be a spiritual orientation. It could be the place where inner knowing resides. And I
Hmm.
just ask them to go with it and to allow that part to guide their pen. and to just freeform write whatever comes out from God or from your inner wise woman or wise
Yeah.
man or from your inner mentor or your guides or your, deepest truth, higher self, whatever image you want. And people do it. And I say, the inner critic might be there watching. The inner critic might be like, this is still just you. This is just an exercise. Just say, thank you for sharing. Duly noted. Those are my favorite 6 words. And keep writing. Thank you for sharing. Duly noted. Go back to whatever comes out of your pen. And inevitably, what comes out of people's pens is just amazing reassurance,
Mm.
amazing, hey, it's okay that you don't believe I'm here anyway. It's okay that you're afraid you're not alone. All you need to do to feel more trust is this or that. Like the wisdom that comes out of people when you try to connect to a different part versus this part. And I know you do the same work, baby, in a million different ways. So I'm not telling you anything new, but for the
Oh
people,
no. But
for the
yeah, this
people
is
listening,
preach it, as I like to say. Please.
I do all kinds of variations where that part
Yeah.
of self answers. Sometimes it's 2 columns, and you write down your fears on the left, and then that same part of self, responds on the right. That what it is it just can't be an intellectual exercise. It has to be what bubbles up from that deepest part, and then let's look at it afterwards, and let's just see what came up that's helpful. Let's see what came up that's valid. And because I'm not the one cheerleading them to have trust, I'm not the
Hmm.
one as a coach or friend or colleague or whomever cheerleading them, since those words came from them. Like those words came from a part, God, inside, outside, I don't know, but it came from their pen, not me pep talking them. They begin to open to the idea that maybe there's something there. They begin to
Yeah.
open to the idea that maybe they could take a small indicated step toward more trust. And then we'll ask, what is that step going to be? What's the teeniest little step inspired by what came through you? So, that's the kind of approach I like to take, is getting people out of their intellect and into their, gut, their body, their cells, their knowing, and their higher place, to work with trust issues.
Yeah.
you know and I know you do exactly the same in so many different ways that I'm preaching to the choir, but since hopefully a few
Yes.
people are going to watch this, I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I have to back you up 100% on that. It feels like you're describing a way to sort of bypass the inner critical, the lid, the lid.
Mhm.
Like I'm bypassing the lid. I'm going above the lid, and we're gonna talk at this level for a while.
Mhm.
And the critic wants to come and say, no, no, I've got this all figured out. And this other part of you says, no, you don't have it figured out. If you had it figured
Mhm.
out, we'd have had it figured out. So I don't believe you. So I'm going to keep writing.
Right. But
that's that's what I'm
people
hearing.
people like being told, hey, the inner critic might be there when you're writing, saying you're just writing what you want to hear. You're just writing what you want to hear. You think what God would say, but there is no God. And just go, thank you for sharing. Duly
Yeah.
noted. I hear you. I'm just going to put you on the side seat again, and I'm going to keep writing. Because when they know to expect that, then it doesn't have much power, and then they can come and
Yeah.
see what they came back with their piece of writing. And I mean, sometimes it moves people to tears. Often it moves people to tears that they found
A
this
lot.
voice inside of them that says, "Dear sweet child." Sometimes, I'm right. You're cradled in my arms. Don't forget it.
Mm.
And here's how you can touch into me. Sometimes they get direct feedback as to what that next little step. Here's how you can touch into me. Here's how you can remember. Here's how you can strengthen the muscle. And then they've had a spiritual experience, and I'm just holding a container for it. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm the luckiest person in the world,
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
to do that. So,
So when you see people, and I'm going to shift this for a second here, when
yeah,
you see people really starting to walk this journey of, I'm here with you, Barb, because you're going to help me figure this out. I'm 52 years old. I'm 38 years old. I'm whatever.
yeah,
I need to live differently. I'm not happy with what I've been doing. There's all these restrictions in my mind about what I can do, be, or have. And they start to do this. Do you see like sort of natural moments in their development that kind of most people go through as they walk through this? it's a kind of a big overview question. But
Hmm.
when you start to say, I'm actively seeking out my limitations, I'm trying to find my limited beliefs, my scarcity, I'm trying to find it and move through it.
Mhm.
Are there pretty predictable walls or points that people hit? And this is a big question. If you haven't thought it out, I know, but whatever comes to you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let me think about that. I mean, first is that excited phase of creating a vision, right? And,
Hmm.
and, and
Hmm.
getting behind it and realizing I'm going to just make things different, which is such a joyful. And then tends to be the phase of, okay, what do I do next and how do I get there? And that's, we talked a little bit about that as to like bringing it back to the next indicated action. And
Yeah.
then as people start taking these next indicated actions, what I tend to see happen, and it is they begin to realize that more providence and surprises and opportunities pop in than they could have plotted and planned if they had the whole thing laid out. So as long as I can take someone to what's the next indicated step, and
Yeah.
then let's see what information the universe returns by that step.
Hmm.
So it might be a
Hmm.
lunch with someone to ask about their career path, or it might be I'm going to seek a wonderful practitioner in my neighborhood and see who's available for my health issues, like whatever that next granular little step is. There's always a response. What did I learn? How did I feel? What new distinctions or discernment do I have now that informs the next 3 foot toss? Like if I went to talk to someone about their career and I came away going, oh, that doesn't fit for me. I would hate that. That's going to influence my next 3 foot toss or my next indicated action versus if I loved what I heard and I can't wait to learn more about the career. So I see a phase people start to go through where they start realizing that the way to play this is what's the next action and then what comes back and then what's the next action and what comes back. And then in doing it that way, they end up with weird opportunities that came out of the blue or meeting someone who's got funding for their thing that they're trying to
Hmm.
manifest, right? Or
Yeah.
randomly, meeting this great life partner person in the oddest of places because
Yeah.
it was using this only as far as what makes the most sense and then meet like the next step and then meeting that with but universe respond to me through whatever responses I get through to clarify which way to head next, which way to head next, which nuanced course correction to make. And so I see
Yeah.
people go through a phase where they go from the stress of how am I going to manifest this to actually it's kind of fun having surprises. It's kind of
Yeah.
fun being on the journey and practicing my trust, wanting to stir up the voices that want to rail against the trust because then we can work with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah. And
I,
you've certainly reinvented yourself enough times. I mean, you
yeah, I
know
have.
this like the back of your hand. So,
Yeah. Well,
um,
different every time. One never knows,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
but
I
thankfully.
know that you have something for people because hopefully they're stimulated to learn like how, okay, she just made it pretty clear. She's right. I have some trust issues. We all do. We all do. But trust issues with myself, with my life, with what I think the world will give to me or not give to me, with how I'm going to spring forward out of this time and what's going to be available. What do you have for people to kind of help them and, hold all this?
Well, I just completed an ebook called Self-Love for Achievement Junkies. It's a
I
guidebook.
love it. I love it.
And it's 39 pages. I was like, oh, I wanted it to be 40 pages. No, it's 39 pages. But like it's a nice little hearty guidebook and
Hmm.
self-love for achievement junkies. And it's an actual, working process to look at where we lack self-compassion, what fears we indulge. There
Yeah.
is a letter writing exercise that's in the book
Yeah.
that is a part of the self-love exploration. It's a slightly different letter than I described today, but there's a letter writing process. And then there's exploration of what is self-love, what is authenticity, what does self-advocacy look like for real, not based on outside expectations, in my physical well-being, in my mental and emotional, and in my spiritual, and even in my financial. And what are the ways I can break that down in those indicated next steps or 3 foot tosses that I can
Hmm.
take so that my actions align with someone who does have fierce self love first and then manifests out of that, rather than what we
Right.
started with, which is manifesting on the outside to feel self-love, right? So how
Yeah.
does
No.
self-love fill me such that I can then contribute and take risks and give from my overflow and manifest everything I want, knowing that my relationship with myself, like I mentioned earlier, I just sit with my own little girl, my healthy adult sits with my little
Yeah.
girl. That's what the book is about for people that are
Hmm.
typically high achievers, but just need a little bit of a reset on their
Hmm.
relationship with themselves. So that's what it
Yeah, that makes sense.
is.
It
Yeah.
sounds to me too like it's
Yeah.
pretty revealing. Like if I were to go through it and do the
Yeah.
exercises, I would leave with a template of me that maybe I hadn't seen before or didn't expect, or
Yes. I
maybe
hope
like a step
so.
where, oh, now I know exactly what I need to work on next,
I
which is
hope
another
so. That
question we
that
high
was
achievers are always asking ourselves. But
right.
what do I have to work on next? What's
Right.
my next? Like just
And what's
chill
funny
out for a
is
while.
it
That's what you have to
satisfies
work on?
the
No.
desire to be working on something, and yet it's a workbook about inner work. So
Oh
it
my God, now you're really messing with my head.
satisfies my desire to feel like I'm doing something, but it's all
Uh-huh.
internal exploration. I never thought
Oh,
of it that way.
tricking that A personality. I like that. Very devious
Yeah.
of you, but effective.
Yeah.
Funny.
So do you want me to give a link to that, or do you have it? I don't know if you have
I've
it.
got it. I've
Okay.
got it. It's going to be
Good.
right here with the
Uh,
podcast, with
okay, great.
the video interview in the event. So it'll be there. Everybody knows to go to barbwade.com. If you somehow miss it, she'll have it for you there. And Barb, thank you. It's
My
such a pleasure to
pleasure.
connect with you again. I just remember again. Oh, she's so brilliant. Oh, she's so
Oh,
kind. Oh, she's so
thank you.
fearless. So so good to see you. Thank
Oh,
you.
honey, my pleasure. You too. Thanks. What a fun talk.
Bye now.